one.
All right, thank you for rejoining our meeting as the board reconvenes from closed session. We have 2 items to report out. A motion was made by Christina Berenger with a second by Daniel Flores, followed by a unanimous roll call vote of the board to employ Shad Grijalva as principal of Vista Verde Elementary School. And the vote was as follows: President Hernandez, aye; Clerk Loon, aye; Member Berenger, aye; Member Bristol, aye; Member Flores, aye. And another motion was made by Christina Berenger with a second by Daniel Flores, followed by unanimous roll call vote of the board to employ Lisa Hansen as assistant principal of Pinion Mesa Middle School with a vote as follows: President Hernandez, aye; Clerk Loon, aye; Member Berenger, aye; Member Bristol, aye; and Member Flores, aye. And that'll take us to item G for community comments. Do we have any comments that have come in online?
No comments at this time online.
Thank you, sir. And we have a few comments from the audience. Yeah, Ms. Stapp, if you could read the board policy regarding community comments, I appreciate that.
Certainly. Regarding public comments, the board president or chairperson will invite citizens to speak on any items on the agenda. In the interest of fairness and efficiency, citizens will be asked to give their name and indicate the item they wish to address. Citizens will also be invited to make suggestions and identify concerns about matters affecting the schools which may not be on the agenda, or suggest topics for future agendas. Any individual who has requested to speak to any item on the agenda may be granted 3 minutes to make a presentation, with the total time devoted to presentations not exceeding 15 minutes. Any individual who has requested to speak to an item not on the agenda may be granted 3 minutes to make a presentation to the board, with the total time devoted to presentations not exceeding 15 minutes. The board president may, with board consent, increase or decrease the time allowed for public presentation, depending on the topic and the number of speakers for or against a particular issue. The board president may rule on the appropriateness of a topic. If the topic would be more suitably addressed at a later time, the president may indicate the time and place when it should be presented. The board shall not prohibit public criticisms of its policies, procedures, programs, services, acts, or omissions. In addition, the board may not prohibit public criticism of district employees.
All right, thank you. And with that, we have first comment from Heidi Bates regarding masks.
Hi, I'm just kind of curious, we're all sitting in a room together, we don't have any masks on, right? So why would our children need to wear them? I mean, can we sign a waiver so they don't have to wear them? I mean, if they want to wear them, it should be their choice to wear them, right?
Oh, yeah.
Do you want me to go to the microphone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll, just so everyone knows, that allows for those who are in the
So,
remote will be able
I'm
to.
just kind of curious because we're all in a room together and none of us have a mask on. And I think, you know, it should be our children's choice if they want to wear a mask at school or not. It should be an option. It shouldn't be mandated. That's just how I feel.
Our board policy allows us to receive comments, but we do not
can't
respond. Correct. So thank you for your comments.
Wow.
Kelly Elsesser, masks and for kids and science behind it, as well as learning criteria concerns.
Yeah, because there's the reason for the mandate for it, they don't have scientific background for having kids having masks on. So I don't know why we're mandating it when we're not wearing it. It actually shows, if you guys all have kids, you'll notice that when the kid comes home, smell their mask. It's not good. What they're breathing in and out is not good for them. And there's actually more scientific background behind that. And we're in it for a whole day. We kind of put up with it when we went back because we were happy to have the kids go back and learning. We were happy, we dealt with it at that time, but they were only going a half a day. Now it's a full day, and that's even longer with putting masks on the kids. And then so far, I've been very happy with the school district and been happy with the principal, John. I just don't know what's gonna happen with, if you guys are gonna, bring in new, learning criteria, meaning like the critical race theory and sex being implemented in elementary schools. I'm just a concern. I don't know if that's gonna be implemented here. I just wanted to bring it up to see, because I haven't seen anything yet with the criteria yet. So it was just a concern, making sure I don't want it brought into our district and into our young kids.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Jeremy Keenan regarding masks.
Good afternoon. So I feel very strongly about this whole mask mandate. I think it should be the choice of the people that you serve, not the state. Whether or not this mandate's impressed upon our children. You know, there's other means to deal with this type of issue. If I feel that my child is in danger and that they, cannot be around unvaccinated children or children without masks, I should keep them out, not the other way around. The general population, and I know there's only a few of us here today, right now, but maybe it should be put to a vote. If the general population that you serve wants to have our children attend school unadulterated, without masks, that should be honored. Not some governor that states that we can't understand the statistics or the numbers that drive these mandates. If you're in fear of your employees, have them vaccinated, have them receive N95 masks if they feel that that's still not enough. But don't make our children suffer over this. Don't take away their graduations. Because what's next? Masks don't work, numbers go up. We're going to impose mandatory vaccinations to go to school. That's not going to end well. So I implore you to be an advocate for the communities that you serve and not the state.
Yes.
This community,
Yes.
we work hard here, we have different beliefs, political agendas aside. It should be the community that you serve and not the state.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I have a comment from Nancy regarding mask mandate enforcement at the high school.
It was actually just a question.
It sounds like you're in a very hard situation with this, and I understand that. But my question is if the children don't wear their masks at the high school, what is the consequences? Do you have that so you can relay that to us so we can decide before they start high school if we want to put them in a private venture? And I don't know what the purposes of this is.
Right.
You
Yeah,
can't
there's no
answer my
answer.
question.
So what's
I understand, in right parents, the CDC says, even if your kids are vaccinated, everybody's vaccinated in the school system, they should probably wear masks. But on the other hand, if you mandate that and they come to school and they don't have their mask or they're flipping it around on the football field, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna expel everybody? I mean, the problem almost becomes an impasse, right? These guys are mad and you guys want to enforce it. It's just like, mandate it, but how you enforce it is not recommended by the state. That's all.
Thank you. And just as a reminder, we follow the Brown Act with the law of California on receiving public comments, which is required of the meetings. And in that law, it states that we receive the information and we can follow up at a later time. So Nancy, I believe our executive administrator, Nancy staff will contact you regarding that matter.
And if you want to give me your phone numbers on your cards.
Why don't we put it online so everyone?
Yeah,
let everybody know.
Why can't it be
We're all
public
here together
information?
as a team. Why can't we put it up
What's the
online?
secret?
Yeah, why does it gotta be hidden?
Yeah, and just a reminder, this is a special meeting in particular to public employees. appointment. We were here today to hire a couple of new persons to fill positions, a regular board meeting.
So when is a board meeting for us to speak our opinion on
Yeah.
mask mandates and everything else before our kids go back to school on the town?
Yeah. And again, the Brown Act does allow at any open meeting that public comments be accepted.
Comments usually have answers behind them.
Yeah. In addition.
I went to the state meeting or to the board meeting for the water company and had, on the weed farms the other day. They can answer questions. What's the difference? I don't understand it. What's the point of asking a question if you can't get an answer?
So just what he's asking is, will there be a meeting prior to school beginning that there will be an open forum for discussion?
Yes, there will be a meeting discussing how we're going to handle that, yes.
When is
What
that?
day is that?
Yeah, with
That's our
that.
next meeting, August 10th,
So the day they go back to school.
2 days before.
Okay.
So we don't have enough time to decide.
And
What
this,
to do with
yeah,
it.
we won't even have enough time to decide what we're gonna do with our kids. This is the whole point.
Well, we should have
We
done
have
a
to make
month
a
ago.
decision for our children. We need the information to be public, so we can know how to make that correct decision. And if we don't have that information, how are we supposed to make that decision?
All this information will be coming out.
When?
All right,
We
have-
need more time than 2 days before school starts. We have to
It
make
should
a
have been a month
responsible
ago.
decision for our children, and we need time, and we need the information in order to make that decision. Does that make any sense?
Yes.
Dog even one stairs.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Hopefully,
It's the right time.
Regarding all these matters,
You guys have
Dr.
better
Holmes
luck.
Publishing is weekly videos discussing these topics. And we will certainly get back to that at our next meeting, regularly scheduled meeting. David Freeland regarding masks and CRT.
Yeah, well, I have a question on the mask, but obviously we can't answer that. And the other one is, are we gonna teach our kids critical race theory in the school? Because if so, I don't want my kids going there. We get enough racistness in Thielen as it is. We don't need to teach it. I don't care if Biden administration tells us to or not. We employ you guys. We vote you guys in. It's our voice. We do it. You guys work for us as a community. You guys need to listen to us as a community also, just as she was just saying. We need to know all this stuff before the kids go back to school, not 2 days before. This should have been taken care of a month ago. You guys have been having your meetings all this summer. You guys didn't get a plan together of what's gonna be going on this whole time. So, I mean, where are we at with this? No one can answer questions right now. Why not? You guys should have this written down. You guys should have it in your notes and be able to answer that question. So I don't understand it. I'll be at the next meeting. Hopefully you guys have some information for us and can give us information, because I know I stand here, not by myself, but with a lot of parents that are ticked off on this whole deal. The kids don't need to wear masks. There's no scientific evidence that they work. There's more against it that they don't work, and how the carbon dioxide from them having to wear it, from them grabbing their mask, putting it on their face, going and touching the water fountain, going and playing, going and grabbing the door, putting it back on their face. You guys explain to me where it works. When you guys can do that, I might make my kid wear a mask, but until then, I'm not going to. Sorry, but that's my piece. I'll be at your next meeting.
Thank you for your comments. Jacqueline Stalk regarding parent issues.
If a bus stop does not get scheduled near my house, as a working mother, along with my husband, who also works full-time, we have found that Snowline continues to not support the needs of working parents. As previously mentioned, there has not been a snow at bus stop for several years by my house. This uncertainty weeks before the school starts has caused my family undue stress about the uncertainty if my daughter will continue to enroll in Coal Valley or place her in a neighboring school district. In addition to lack of bus stops in my area, Snowline has made the arbitrary decision to not transport TK students. Our transportation department believes without evidence that TK students are not equipped to take a bus considering the young age. Yet, when I contacted Hesperia and Victor Elementary School districts, they were happy to report that if my kids attended their school district, they would be willing to transport my TK child. It should be noted that because of where I work, I do apply for the Allens bill, and they would give me transportation services without conditions. However, the lack of transportation is not my only concern. As individuals in a position of power within our educational system, you guys should all be aware about the importance of after-school programs for student social and emotional development. Yet at Baldy Mesa, Heritage, nor Wrightwood do we have an after-school program. Yet at every school, at Victor and Hesperia, there are after-school programs that focus on enhancing a student's life. We can blame lack of government funding and conjure up other excuses to why we're not providing equitable services for all students. Coincidentally enough, as I stared upon all of your beautiful goals and infographics there, equity is across the board. Yet we're not providing equitable services to Baldy, Heritage, nor Wrightwood students. As elected representatives of our community, I invite you to review the various school platforms, including a group called Baldy Mesa Elementary Parents, to see how parents are struggling with after-school care for their children that could be resolved with an after-school program. Lastly, I would like to mention the unreasonable start times that Snowline has set in place. While I recognize that Snowline has set these times in place due to transportation and a way to save money, there has to be a better solution to school start times. Can any of you imagine starting work at 9 o'clock in the morning and having to drive your child to Serrano, Quail Valley, and Baldy Mesa? That's my reality next year. Unfortunately, that won't be because 3 of my kids won't be at Baldy. The current pickup and drop-off times support a lifestyle in which one parent or guardian is able to spend 2 hours of their morning and 2 hours of their afternoon picking up children, thereby not allowing this individual to work or making it extremely complicated. This can mean that the parents have the inability to move out of poverty, or they're not able to further their education by means of attending a post-secondary institution. This points to the issue that Snowline has and continues to provide services without considering the needs of all of their families. It is my hope that Snowline continues to challenge itself, examine the needs of parents, and provide equitable services to all families, including those who are full-time working parents. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Kylie Tomlin, regarding student concerns.
Hi, my name is Kylie, and I've been attending Snowline School since TK. I'm currently entering Quail Valley Middle School as an 8th grader. I would like to discuss the important concerns with you tonight, or this evening, sorry. As my parents are seriously considering taking us and putting me in a district at a neighboring district. So first off, I think that school hours should change. Before COVID, my 3 siblings were dropped out of the schools before I did. They are younger than me and start sooner than me. Once I get promoted to Quail Valley, I'm expected to start almost 2 hours earlier. How is middle school preparing me for this huge time change? I believe that high school time should stay the same. Middle school should start at 8 and elementary school should start at 9. But even then, the time does not make sense for my parents who start their jobs at 8. There should be more available bus stops to students. I am currently one of them. Both my parents work full-time and I don't get support getting to Quill. If I had to get to school, would I have to be dropped off at 7:30 in the morning, sometimes earlier? This may be a huge struggle for my parents and students. Also, the safety concerns students and child predators attacking them. As a student that went to Heritage, Bali Mesa Elementary, and currently rolling Quail Valley, I could say just waiting for your parents to pick you up is not the funnest position to be in. Students need after-school programs because their parents may work full-time or have night shifts or just work too far and get stuck in terrible traffic. Quail Valley does not have before or after-school programs to help their students. I would like to see that at Quill has after-school programs for all the students that help us connect with one another. If Snowline doesn't start changing the times of the schools and the bus stops and after-school programs, I may have to go to a different school district. I would like to stay in Snowline because my friends are here and I really like my teachers. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your comments.
I'll go first.
And our last comment is from Amy Kraft regarding mask concerns.
Why can I go first?
Good afternoon. My name is Amy Kraft. I have a daughter going into 2nd grade at Heritage and another daughter who will be starting kindergarten at Heritage, not this year, but next. My current concern is the mask mandate in school. I do not stay on top of the news, CDC, or what social media has to say regarding this topic because the information always seems to be changing. So my concern personally comes from God-given common sense. I, along with the majority of parents, are not okay with our healthy children being forced to wear masks for a full day, 5 days a week. It's obvious that the Snowline Board also does not feel that these masks are necessary, as none of us in this room are wearing them or being asked to wear them. If nothing is done, I believe many more parents will be choosing to send their children to private schools or opt to homeschool, which would inevitably affect many teachers potentially losing jobs if this happens. So I want to know, what is our district doing or willing to do to fight this mandate, to make masks optional, and to truly do what is best for our children? Thank you for allowing us to speak today.
All right, that'll take us to administrative item H1. Dr. Holmes.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, President. We have one item here, and this came up just recently. It's actually impacting all school districts in the state of California. It's precipitated by Assembly Bill 130. We're going to hear from Alan Miller in just a second, but I want to share with you. Again, didn't have plans to put this on here, but again, every school district will have to be dealing with this, and that is the adoption, eventual adoption of board policy specific to independent study. We'll hear from Alan about that. And when we talk about independent study, a change that is required directed toward the idea of daily live interaction, and that differs at each grade level. So Alan, let me turn that over to you so you can speak to that, and then I'll get some final comments and we certainly then turn it over for any questions. Alan?
Thank you. With board policy 6158 and accompanying administrative regulation 6158, it addresses independent study, and we've had an independent study policy for quite a long time. However, with the Assembly Bill 130 being put in front of us, we have to respond appropriately. So therefore, we're bringing BP 6158 to you for a first reading. As we always do with existing board policy, we go ahead and make appropriate strike-throughs of policies that are changing, and then in bold print are all additional parts of the policy. So I know it's a pretty good chunk of reading there, but in the spirit of both board policy and the administrative regulation, both of these are being put forth so because of our requirement to have to offer a remote or independent study program to all students and families that wish to take advantage of that. We are very fortunate that we have a very sound independent study program already being Snowline Academy. We've had it up in place for a number of years. They're doing great work, and they are poised to increase the capacity of students to serve during the 21-22 school year. With the policy, or with the Assembly Bill requirements, we are going to have to make some minor adjustments to our current Snowline program. However, it wouldn't threaten the integrity of the program the way it exists right now. So I can tell you firsthand that a lot of districts aren't in as good a position as we are in already having an established IS program. We're very happy about that, and being able to offer it to families that want to take advantage of it during this transitional year as we go beyond the pandemic, that they will have that option. And really, for long term, we'll always have that option at Snowline Academy. With that being said, the board policy and the administrative regulation will most likely change at the beginning of next year because of fewer restrictions that we're bound to uphold during this policy. I will say I sat in on a CDE, California Department of Education webinar yesterday. It was supposed to be 2 hours. They cut that down to about an hour. I already dove pretty deeply into this Assembly bill, so I was very familiar with what they were doing, but it was a good review overall. I can tell you that the state, if you use the wagon and horses analogy, the wagon's getting a little bit ahead of the horses right now, so they're trying to catch up. And they've admittedly said that there are questions that they can't answer at this time, but hopefully they will have answers soon. But however, I'm very proud of the position we're in because we're not waiting for those answers. We're moving full steam ahead to be able to serve our students that want to take advantage of that remote learning option or independent study option.
Yeah, so very well said. Thanks for all of that. And so very well said. Thanks for all of that there, Hannah. And again, appreciate you allowing us to put this on this special agenda so you can go through the normal process, right? First reading, allow you to ask any questions right now as need be, and then for approval. That's what I can put. Amanda?
Thank you for that. To the board, any questions?
I'm just curious to know what those specific adjustments are to the Snowline Academy program that are required to meet the AB 130.
Absolutely. And I'll give you the ones that come to mind first, and that is the requirement for synchronous learning or live instruction for our students. So we have no quantified time amount for that, but we do have a daily check-in amount according to the various grade level bands throughout our system. I've worked very closely with Chad Brooks. I hold him both in high esteem. Chad Brooks, and he's assured me just through our conversations that they will be able to make those adjustments without any difficulty at all. And they've already made those adjustments within their master agreements that they've always offered families and taking advantage of the Snowline Academy program. But that is probably the biggest adjustment right there. There are some regulations regarding assignments and things like that. For instance, how many assignments a student can miss before we have to evaluate if that is the best place for a student instead of in-person learning, and we have to make those recommendations. But I think that really those are two things that come to mind. Also with Snowline Academy, it's usually a long-term commitment, or it is a long-term commitment. And with the new legislation, families do have flexibility in really turning on a dime if they choose to return their children to in-person learning. So if a parent comes to us or goes to Snowline Academy and says, you know what, this isn't really working for us, we'd like our child to return to in-person learning, we have to be able to take action on that within five days. So I'm going to return that student hopefully to their home school. That would be our first attempt. However, if a school is impacted in at full capacity, we can still offer in-person learning, but unfortunately it might be at another school. But we don't anticipate that being a problem in our district. So those are some of the details within that policy that we're going to have to pay close attention to. But overall, we've already got a great vehicle for learning in Snowline Academy that we're moving forward, and we'll make those necessary adjustments regarding compliance as we need to move forward.
And that, thank you. The synchronous instruction that's required then by this bill, is that occurring remotely?
Yes, it will be. And with Snowline Academy's current model, they do offer opportunities for in-person support, so students can come in for that support. We'll see how that takes shape as we move forward, but that's always something that we've offered pre-pandemic that we anticipate we'd like to continue to offer. But we will have that synchronous setting for students who are available for the synchronous learning, live instruction or support, tutoring, whatever you want to call it. And then there's also a requirement for daily check-ins in some regards, just to make sure that the student's doing well and whatnot. That doesn't necessarily need to be made by a certificated person. It could be made by a classified person.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So this is just receiving the information first reading, and so the board will look forward to second reading and adoption. That will take us to, adjournment. There being no further business to come before the board, and to entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Member Flores. By show of hands, all in favor? Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Thanks, Robert, James, and Rick on that. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
That's